Hello everybody, my name is Chatrux and today I want to talk to you about the Marksman Hunter and its current state in 9.0.5. We'll go through a basic guide of how the class is played and how the spec is played, and we'll also go through a Mythic Plus playthrough showing you how I min-max my output DPS and also try to survive. Taking this opportunity to also tell you that I stream daily on twitch.tv/chatrux. You can always find me there from Monday to Friday starting at 9 AM Eastern European time and in the afternoon/night during the weekends. Join us on the stream for more questions or just chill hangout. First, I like to go through class availability in the current patch. Hunter as a whole, it's a pretty strong class with really good specs, really good DPS specs. Each of all these three specs, Marksman, Beast Mastery or Survival, have an insane output DPS both in a single target environment and also Mythic Plus with a really good kit of survivability toolkit or situational spells. Marksman Hunter is currently the preferred spec by the majority of the hunters out there, but with the latest updates of 9.0.5, BM comes pretty big from behind. It's started to become more and more stronger with the recent buffs, and I could say that in a really good amount of the situations both Marksman and BM hunters can be on par with damage. Survival is also strong if you like a bit of an, let's say, exotic approach and a melee playstyle. You can totally go survival, you will perform really good. But in general, the community right now goes for, as I said, either Marksman, either Beast Mastery. It's good to know that Beast Mastery scales really good with item level and with more gear. So going through further on the expansion and the patches, we might see again, as we've seen in previous expansions, a shift in power from Marksman going to BM. But that's to be told in 9.1. If we are to talk about Marksman Hunter's current position in the meta, I can tell you that he is in the meta. For those of you who don't know what the meta is, it's pretty much some of the strongest / played classes amongst the overall community of World of Warcraft at the current state. Most of these classes are classes that have been played or have been seen in tournaments such as MDI or other Mythic Plus tournaments, or have been seen in high Mythic rating progression. Hunter, as it is at the moment, especially Marksman, as I said, has enough damage, so I would say it doesn't need a buff. It definitely doesn't need a nerf, so please Blizzard, keep it as it is at the moment until 9.1 at least. And it has a really good toolkit, as I said, of utility skills. So I would say it's a character, it's a spec and the class which fits in every situation. You can find your spot in a raiding encounter, even if you are just casually normal heroic raiding, or even if you want to go for mythic raiding, and definitely it can push keys. It can easily fit any plus 15, and even if you want to go for more Mythic Plus pushing, without a problem it can provide the power to every Mythic Plus group. A bit contestable over here. Some might say that it's not in an MDI / tournament level state. It might not provide the full either damage spectrum, either utility spectrum for a tournament level, which we have seen in the previous tournaments. But that doesn't discredit the Marksman Hunter as being a strong spec which can easily push plus 20s and above. So if you are that type of player that wants to, squeeze out the most of their class and go for big Rio numbers, big Mythic Plus kills, you can totally do it as a Marksman without doubts. Moving on, let's talk about stat priority. Currently, Marksman Hunter goes with Critical Strike, Mastery, Versatility and Haste, exactly in that order. To be a bit more precise, my Hunter has at the moment 31.5 crit, 4.5% haste, 11.4 versatility and 15.8 mastery. One thing that my Hunter has too much is versatility. I could always trade that versatility for either mastery, either a bit more crit, and I might gain more power, but that's the RNG of the items and the drops that I had so far. In terms of stat breakdowns, I would recommend to definitely you always go for critical strike, but I would recommend you to aim for at least 30% critical, and a good sweet spot would be 35. So if you are in between 30 to 35, it's more than enough crit. If you can get more, it won't hurt that much, but it's over 35, it's going to start to get harder and harder to maximize it. And as I said, after that, mastery alongside that big juicy critical strike won't hurt. If you can get mastery and you get a bit more versatility, that also helps, is not that bad of a trade-off. Even though haste is our least important stat at the moment, you still want to have a tiny bit of it so you don't have that slow, clunky rotation. I would say that something in between 4% to 8% haste will be enough. You don't really want to go below 4%. You're gonna start to feel it pretty bad in the rotation, and also anything above 8% might be a bit of an overkill. Moving on to the talents. Currently, the ones displayed on the screen are my default go-to Mythic Plus AoE situation talents. Either way, in any situation in the game at the moment, either Mythic Plus, either raid, single target damage, you want to go with Master Marksman. From the following row for Mythic Plus, I would always suggest to go with Explosive Shot. It's really strong on a small cooldown. It can provide a really big burst AoE on packs, and it's fairly decent on single target as well. But if you want truly single target power, definitely Careful Aim is the one to be taken. On the third row, we have some situational talents, so choose the one that fits you better. In theory or in general, either Natural Mending for a bit more extra healing throughout a dungeon or a fight encounter, raid encounter, either Camouflage for strictly Mythic Plus can be or should be the go-to talents. Moving on, again, if you are a Mythic Plus player or you want to adapt to a better Mythic Plus overall damage, Streamline is the talent you want to go for. It also synergizes good with one of the legendaries that are top or peak at the moment. We'll talk more about that in the next section. But if you want to min-max that single target DPS in a raid, again, definitely you should go with Steady Focus, providing you some extra big juicy haste from your steady shots, which you will definitely use to refill your focus. On the next row, we have again situational talents. Post Haste is a pretty good both raid or Mythic Plus talent, but the other one are to be considered as well. Choose as your playstyle fits. Moving on, I recommend to get double tap in every situation. Currently, either Deadeye, either Lethal Shots are not bringing enough power to any encounter. You can play around, you can fool around with them if you like them, but double tap, even though it has a 1 minute cooldown, it has a really good, really strong synergize with your either aim shot, either rapid fire, so you can double up that single target damage, or your big AoE with extra rapid fires. So it's the talent to be taken and to be used on cooldown. Never keep double tap with the cooldown resetted. Always use it and refresh it. From the last row, we have two strong options. Volley is the go-to Mythic Plus or AoE fight situation talent. It provides a really good AoE and big focus burst on the AoE, on a multiple pack or AoE targets. On the counterpart, you can go Lock and Load for more single target, for less casting, more single target, a bit of an RNG talent, but on a raid encounter, even in Mythic Plus, it can be pretty strong. But I would totally go with Volley for Mythic Plus. Alrighty guys, going into Legendary section. Currently, I can say that we have two potential and really good Legendaries, which can be swapped depending on the content that you're playing. One of them can be good in both contents, as in single target or AoE Mythic Plus. The other one being strictly for Mythic Plus. And that are the Rapid Fire / Surging Shots Legendary, which I'm currently using for Mythic Plus, and the other one being the Shoulders, the Serpent Stalker Trickery. Well, Shoulders or the other item, you can choose on which item you want to use it. If you're asking any Marksman Hunter until 9.0.5, we had only one option. They would have said we have only one option when it comes to the legendary of your choosing, which would have been the Serpent Stalker Trickery. The shoulders, as I said, which are providing a good passive damage to your aim shot. Pretty much every aim shot you fire also fires a Serpent Sting at the primary target, which is a debuff, a dot ticking spell on the target. After 9.0.5, with the buffs, surging shots became really available and a really good strong legendary for Mythic Plus. In the beginning of 9.0.5, I tried the playstyle of both and I liked surging shots better, and I will tell you why. But in terms of overall damage on a course of a Mythic Plus, they are both really strong, they are both really competitive, and based on your playstyle, either both are 100% viable. Why I do like surging shots over the aim shot Serpent Stalker legendary? Well, pretty much if you're using surging shots, that empowers your rapid fire, not your aim shot, which means you will have in general a better AoE burst. It's easier to min-max the damage with the rapid fire rather than an aim shot legendary, and I'll tell you why again. And also it gives you more movement. You are prioritizing your rapid fire cast other than the aim shot cast. That means more movement into your rotation, into your overall flow of the dungeon. If you are using the shoulder, the aim shot legendary, in a let's say AoE situations, 3+ target situations, in order to min-max, in order to squeeze out the most damage of this legendary, you will need to swap the target for each aim shot. You want to apply aim shot that applies Serpent Sting on each target, so they start ticking up the damage naturally and passively as you fight along. Again, that requires you to prioritize aim shot, that requires you to cast more aim shots and switch target all the time and be aware of that and keep the dot up on more targets. On an overall flow of a Mythic Plus, that might be a bit more tedious, but if you manage to maximize those target swaps and the application of aim shot, as I said, the damage, it's pretty much on par. Just for the comparisons, I made a sim of both legendaries with my current gear, and it goes pretty much like this. So over here we have two sims. My current gear is 225. I'm at 225 item level with the stats that I previously showed you. This is a dungeon slice sim. Again, dungeon slice is not the most accurate sim. There are other ways you can do it, but I made two types of sims just for the comparison purposes. Dungeon slice sim for me at the moment is like this. With the rapid fire legendary with the equipped gear, I sim 7.447 on a dungeon slice sim. If I would switch to the shoulders, I would sim -73 less. As you can see, the difference on like an entire course of a Mythic Plus would not be that bad, but I do prefer to play with the rapid fire legendary because, as I said, it gives me more movement, it gives me more free casts, as in I don't have to like just stand still and cast aim shot as I prioritize more rapid fires. And overall, it eases up a bit my rotation and it takes less stress and thinking out of it. I'm a lazy type of player, or person even, so whichever makes my character as strong as it can be with other items or other playstyles, but easier, I'll go for it. The other sim, it's again a comparison between these two legendaries. This one, it's on a patchwork 5 targets 1 minute sim. This might be a bit accurate for small AoE burst windows maybe. Again, there are various ways you can sim, but just for the sake of the comparison, this one, it also sims higher with my rapid fire legendary. I sim 20k point almost 3 with a rapid fire. With the aim shot legendary, I would sim 1400 almost less. Again, this is on a 1 minute fight. This damage could be gained overall from the Serpent Sting debuff over the course of the entire dungeon. So when it comes to legendaries, again, Both are strong, both are competitive, both are viable. Choose the one that fits your playstyle better. One note, the aim shot legendary provides a better single target, which is why it's the one preferred for raiding encounters. So if you really want to min-max your DPS, you could choose for Mythic Plus weeks to play maybe with the aim shot legendary for tyrannical weeks, because you need more damage for the bosses, and then switch to rapid fire for fortified ones. But it's up to your liking. Alright. Moving on into Covenants and Soulbinds. One thing to note and one thing that I want to say is that if you play this game for fun, casually, and you just want to have a good time playing, at the moment, each Covenant or Soulbind has its unique way to be played, and you can perform decent enough in each of the Covenants. If you want to take that next step into your gameplay and maybe start pushing some keys, higher keys, maybe get some achievements like plus 15s or even higher for Rayo score, or for whatever reason, or start getting into maybe heroic rating or even mythic one, then you kind of want to min-max and squeeze the full power of your character. And because of Blizzard's tunings, nerfs, buffs, and the way they made the game, there will be always a certain talent tree Covenant in our Shadowlands game, or another outside power which you can choose to make yourself stronger. In terms of Covenants for Marksman Hunters in the current patch, there are two that are on par, which is Night Fae, as I am, as you can see, and Kyrian. Again, the other two are not to be discredited. You can do amazing things even as Ventir or as the Maldraxian boys, but Night Fae and Kyrian will provide the best of the DPS output and maybe even survivability in some cases. The majority of the players do prefer to be Night Fae at the moment. That's just statistical wise, but Kyrian is not to be let down. Damage wise, it brings the same power to the table. There's a bit of a difference in playstyle. Again, look into it and see which one might fit you better. When it comes to Soulbinds, if you are under the Night Fae Covenant, there are two good DPS Soulbinds. For raid single target situations, you should go with Nia, either with burst, either with poison. For purely raid burst, it's a bit better, even though you lose a potency conduit, it's still better for static bosses that are not moved around, and you can just DPS them as where they are. When it comes more into a Mythic Plus situations or overall Mythic Plus, I feel that Khorane, and I found out that Khorane brings a good power to your initial burst of each and every pack or each and every boss, and overall it's the go-to Soulbind for Marksman Hunter. It provides strong burst and extra damage on each and every opener, either if it's one target, either if it's 5+ targets. So throughout the whole dungeon, you'll have an increased power, pool after pool after pool, which adds up. If you choose to go under the Kyrian Covenant, the go-to Soulbind is Pelagos. More to tell you about Pelagos? Maybe if I switch to Kyrian. I would switch, to be honest, but I'm lazy to farm that renown again. But maybe one day. Moving on, we'll go towards a playthrough of a Mythic Plus dungeon, just to show you how I min-max my DPS in various situations, various pools. What's my rotation in a single target encounter / boss, or a AoE burst situation, how I try to maybe stay alive, because keep in mind, dead DPS equals no DPS, so you want to keep yourself alive. Sometimes I see some players sometimes prioritizing their cast, they just want to finish that cast, then they move out of danger. Never do that, guys, please never do that. Always be safe first, because then you can follow up with ultra giga DPS if you're a Marksman Hunter. Thank you guys for watching. I hope I provided you with the information you needed, you wanted, and you were seeking for. If you have further on questions, let me know in the comment section below. Or, as I said, daily find me at twitch.tv/chachuks, where you can ask me anything about Hunter, Marksman Hunter, or anything else. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, drop a like if you enjoyed the content, maybe even share it, and up until next time, happy hunting.